So as you can see, I'm using Unity 5.5, which is currently the newest version, but don't worry, Unity rarely changes things really dramatically. So now we can just hit New to create a new project, and a Unity project is basically just a place to host all of our code and assets in a new project, and it's going to download. It rarely changes things really dramatically. So now we can just hit New to create a new project. And a unit.
Okay. Let me just double check my mic's working okay. All right. So, I fixed the issue with the audio, so it's all good. I also managed to install the game. It's not a game. The game engine. That's what I'm thinking of. And I got my tutorial down here.
Unity project is basically just a place to host all of our code and asset. It's pretty much our entire game before we build it. Let's give it a name, and here you can decide whether you want to build a 3D or 2D game. However, this is pretty much just going to change a few settings inside of Unity that we can change at a later point really easily. So this decision here doesn't matter too much. For now, let's just keep it at 3D. Let's pick a location for our project and hit create. So here's what Unity looks like right when you open it up. You'll notice that I have a dark
yeah, let's do 3D. I don't know what these other ones do. And of course now it's gonna make me wait again. Ay. Oh, I saw it disappear a second ago, so it probably means it's loading. My microphone's actually not muted at the moment. Yeah, my computer's slowing down, so probably means it is working. Oh boy. Yeah. Now my computer's lagged. Oh yeah, it's opened finally. Or it's complaining. At least. Hmm. Oh. Oh, it's still on loop. Ah, well, thank you for liking it, but nothing's really happening at the moment, so don't get too excited. Hmm. Uh, background splash. I didn't see that at first. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Well, I guess I'll just play some of this while I wait for the thing to be done. Um. No. Huh. Uh. Yeah. So play something else then. Oh, that was a lot of lag right there. Computer froze for a minute. Man, everything wants to download stuff today. Mm. Okay, so it's finally loaded. I would jump out too. I really wish there was like a chat that you could do for like YouTube, but more like Discord. That would be neat. Okay.
Dark skin for Unity. That's because I'm using a paid version. But other than the color of the editor, that's not going to make any difference.
I guess they upgraded it in one of the more recent versions
Throughout these videos. So let's begin by exploring the user interface. So in the middle here we have this scene view. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can use the middle mouse button to pan around. And if we hold down Alt and left click, we can then pivot around the center of our view. Over here we have the hierarchy. This displays all of the different game objects that we have in our scene. You can see here our scene is currently untitled and it has two game objects, the main camera and the directional light. Notice that when I click on an object, say the main camera, the inspector will display properties for that object. Each one of these collapsible things here are called components. Components are what makes objects do different things, but we'll get into that in a second. We also have the project panel down here, which shows all of our different game assets that we can then drag into our scene, making them appear in the hierarchy. You can totally rearrange Unity in any way that you would like and drag around panels and really go crazy with this, but remember you can always go to the top right corner and select default, and it's going to reopen to the default layout. And any window you don't already have open, you can go to window and select it from here. So let's start building our game. First off, we want to create a ground plane for our player to stand on. To do that, let's go over to the hierarchy, right click. You can also go under create and select 3D object cube. This spawns a new cube into our scene. Again, we can
Okay. Position, rotation, scale. I'm gonna think that these are probably meters or centimeters. Probably meters though. Cast shadows. So Y is height. That's pretty normal. I'm used to it being shift in that key. Interesting. So it's kind of like Tinkercad as far as the controls go. That's interesting. Where's the camera at?
We can use the movement controls to have a look at it, and we can always quickly focus on it by hovering over the scene view, selecting it, and hitting F. Now the cube currently is somewhere in our scene, and it's really hard to get a look at where. So what we'll do is just go over.
Yeah, my dog wants out. 1 sec. Okay, I need a break from this.
over to the transform here, right click and hit reset. And that just centers it. You can see the position is now 0 on the X, 0 on the Y, and 0 on the Z, and gives it a scale of 1 by 1 by 1. Again, hit F to focus on it. So if we go into our game view, we can now see our cube through our camera. If we want, we can take our game view here and dock it to the right so that we can see both our scene camera. Again, hit F to focus on it. So if we go into our game view, we can now see our...
Oh, there's little tabs. I didn't see that.
Cube through our camera. If we want, we can take our game view here and dock it to the right so that we can see both our scene and the game view at the same time. Then we can take our camera here and we can readjust its position, and you can see that updating in real time. I'm just gonna press Ctrl Z to undo that. I'm then gonna select the cube and scale it up. Let's give it a scale of 15 on the X. We keep it at 1 on the Y and give it, say, 100 on the Z. If we zoom out now, we can see just how huge this group.
Uh-oh. I cooked something. I clicked on something. Dang it. Ugh. Come on. Hmm. There it goes. The heck is the camera? Oh. Okay, so it doesn't set it to default property, it just sets it to 0, 0. Okay.
Ground plane is. We can then go and rename it to ground, and we can simply drag on the blue arrow here to move it over, something like that, just so it starts about at the same point as our camera. Then let's create another object, so right click, go 3D object, and then cube. Again, let's reset the transform so it's centered on the...
I should probably do the same thing. Just set on 0, camera set on 0, okay.
Starts about at the same point as our camera. Then let's create another object, so right click, go 3D object, and then cube. Again, let's reset the transform so it's centered on our scene. We can then drag on this green arrow to move it up. Let's again hit F to focus on.
And he moves so quickly. Cube. Oish. Let's see, is there a color box? Yeah. Yeah, it's this area right here, but I can't figure out what to do with it. Oh gosh, she wants back in. 1 sec. Okay, where was I?
On it, and we can see that we now
Oh, we now have another cube. I bet she's gonna say that. Because, we need to be told.
Now have our new cube here standing on the ground. This cube is going to be our player, so let's go ahead and rename him to player, and let's also make him a bit more visible, because right now everything is pretty boring white. To do that, we need to assign a material to our player, and we create a new material in the project panel. So let's right click down here, go create, and then material. We'll name this material our player, and then mat for material, but that's optional. Let's hit enter. Now we can adjust.
Oh, calm down, dude. Calm down. I heard a dog in here for a second.
Project panel. So let's right click down here, go create.
So the side of assets. Okay. Side of assets. Create material. I really need to fix the cords on my headphones. All sorts of tangled up. New material. Something. One.
Name this material our player, and then mat for material, but that's optional.
Gonna have to get some more water here soon. Throat's getting dry and I'm running out. But yeah, that's transparent. Makes me think of Jello, so I like it.
Let's hit enter. Now we can adjust different properties on this material. Stuff like how metallic it should be, the smoothness of the material, and the color up here. So we'll make this some kind of bright red. And what we can do is then simply drag our player mat
Oh, it's running right now. Okay. Or is it? I think it is. I don't think physics is applied to this, so. Let's see. I know it's somewhere in here. Trigon. Here it is. Physics. None. Okay. Well, I think we'll just wait until he comes up to that.
onto our cube, and you can see it updating in real time. We'll simply let go and it's applied. And any changes that we now make to this material are going to update for our player. I think our camera is a bit far away, so let's also select our camera and move it a bit closer. Again, we can move it over by simply dragging on this arrow, move it up a little bit, and that looks a lot better. So now if we were to hit play and actually run our game, not much happens. That's mostly because we haven't done any programming yet, and so we can't really control the player, but we also need to add some physics into our game. Right now, if we exit play mode, take our player, drag him up here, and hit play again, he's just going to float in the air. He's not falling down. The reason why is that we need to tell this game object to interact with the Unity physics system. To do that, we go out of play mode and add a new component. In our case,
okay, so we go down to new component. Physics. I think it's just box collider.
We want to add the physics rigid body component.
Rigid body component. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Rigid body component. There it is.
Now when we hit play, we should see that.
So now he should fall. Or it should fall, I should say. This tutorial is messing up my pronouns. Or not. Okay.
Our cube falls to the ground.
Yeah, maybe your cube does. My cube doesn't. And my cube is more important than your cube. More noise. So uses gravity. Make sure that's checked. Is this not playing then? Oh, it started to do something. Huh. Okay, cool. So it does move awfully slow. Heard a weird noise I don't recognize. Rotation does something real quick when you drop it. That's interesting. Huh. Let's see. Drag. Can we set it at negative? No, it's just 0. Okay. 10. Feels a bit heavier now. Oh, you can't even pick it up properly. Look at that. Okay. That's cool. Of course, those changes aren't saved because I'm in play. I know a little bit about this software. Come on.
Ground, and indeed it does. Right now it falls in a bit boring way, so let's try and rotate our cube a bit to make it more interesting. To do that, we switch to the rotation tool. Notice how all of the different tools are up here. Right now we have the move tool selected. We can also shift to rotation, scale, and then this one is for manipulating 2D graphics, which allows you to easily do all of the different things at the same time. You can always switch between these really quickly by using Q, W, E, R, and T. So we're going to press E to rotate, and I'm just going to kind of rotate it in a random way here. So if we now hit play, he's going to fall down, and we can now see that he has a lot more advanced physics applied than we were able to see before. So I'm just going to undo that rotation by pressing Ctrl.
Oh, it does. I hate it when softwares do it like that. I mean, it makes sense, but I just want to sit, snap to the nearest point. The drag points, I mean, on the positioning tools. Oh, it's only 11. I didn't see it. I didn't see it go. Dang it. Ah, yes, very pretty indeed. It's all stopped now, isn't it? Okay. Control Z, which I think is like generally the universal for undoing things.
Control Z, and I'm also going to move him down here. We can also try duplicating him, so let's press Control D to duplicate, and let's move this one up and over a bit and see how they interact with each other. Awesome. So one really important thing to understand is what is making these objects behave this way. And the answer is, of course, components. So if we now exit out of play mode and select the player here, we can see that he has all of these different components. The first one is something that you will see on all game objects called a transform component, which just keeps track of where the game object is in space, how it's rotated, and its size. You can see we can adjust all of these, and the game object will be adjusted accordingly. And also, if we go ahead and drag on the game object, you will see the transform component updating. The rest of them, though, are all optional. We have the mesh renderer down here, which is responsible for drawing the object on the screen. If we go ahead and disable that, it's actually going to disappear. It's still in here. You can see it's still in the hierarchy, and
invisible
it still
walls.
has this green box, and we can move it around. But until we re-enable the mesh renderer, it's not going to be visible. Then, of course, we have the box collider. Without this, we wouldn't be able to collide with other objects. If I go ahead and disable the box collider and then hit play, this should just fall through the ground. But if we then go ahead and re-enable the box collider, you can see that it's now able to collide with everything. So remember, to get realistic physics, we both need a collider and a rigid body. And in order to see it, we need a mesh renderer. I of course skipped the mesh filter up here. That's not because it's super advanced. It's just that this is only responsible for a very simple thing, and that is choosing the shape of our object. Right now you can see it has the cube selected. We can easily go in here and change it. So we simply click on the little ball here and we can change it to a capsule, a cylinder, a plane, a sphere, and so on. And you will notice that it's distorted, but that's just because we messed around with the scale. So we can just change that to 1 and you will notice now that it's a sphere. Of course, our box collider is still a box. So if we want this to behave like a sphere, we'll need to remove the box collider. So right click, go remove component, and instead add a sphere collider. And notice how I'm just using search here. That just makes things a lot easier. So let's just enter that. And you can see now that it has a sphere collider. So if we go ahead and hit play, it acts like a sphere. And this is
makes
of course
sense.
more noticeable if we move it over so that we can see it hitting the box. And it's going to go and roll off our ground plane. Another thing is you can also adjust values while playing. We could take our player here and we're still playing and move him around. It might be a bit buggy sometimes when using the physics system, but we are able to do it. We can even go in here and say disable the ground plane or do different stuff like that. But just know that any adjustment that you make while in the game and running are going to go back as soon as you quit playing.
Like I said,
make sure not to do any important adjustments while playing, or at least remember your settings, or else you're just going to have lost progress. So the final thing I wanted to do is just delete the ball here and maybe make this a bit prettier by changing our skybox. To do that, we go and select our main camera. And as the skybox here, we're going to change it to solid color. And let's make the color here a very white gray. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but I think it looks pretty simplistic and cool. By the way I just maximized the game view here is something you're going to see me do a lot of times. That's by hitting Shift Space. Finally, to save your game, we can go ahead and hit Control S or Command S if you're on the Mac, or go to File, Save Scenes. Then we need to name our scene something, and scenes in Unity are basically just levels. So we'll just go ahead and call this one level 1 and hit save. You can see now that the scene appears down here in the project panel. If we had multiple scenes, we would be able to shift between them by simply double clicking to load that level up.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm still trying to choose a nice background color that complements everything, I think. And kind of like that bluish gray, just because it's not too bad on the eyes, but you can still tell there's difference. And I was working on a new material for the floor. Let's see. Let's just do bright red. Woof. Bring in the metallic, and I don't know if the microphone picked that up or not. I think that looks good. I wonder if there's a way to set the sun so it's just everything. Of course, realistically, it's not actually sun, it's lighting, but whatever. So, I like that quite a bit, but this is still a little bit too bright. So, that looks decent. See, a lot of the things I hate in mobile games, which is essentially what I'm making here, is just how painfully bright everything is and like neon. It's like, I can't play this for more than 5 minutes. It gives me a headache.
So that was pretty much all of the handy tips that I could fit into this video. I know some things are probably really confusing, but really the best way for you to learn some of this stuff is by just messing around with it yourself. And then of course in the next video, we'll delve into some actual programming. So that was pretty much it for this video. Hit the subscribe button to be notified when
I don't make you look at my face, now do I?
To Today we'll get started programming in Unity. I did a poll asking what language you guys would like to see, and the results were, well, conclusive. So today we'll be creating our first script. We'll have a look at how you can change properties and even add forces to an object. So I'm really excited. Let's just jump right into it. So whenever we want to program in Unity, we create what is called a script. To do this, we click on the object that we want it to sit on, in our case the player, and we hit add component. Then we go down here, select new.
Alright, add component, which is over here. New scripts. Wait, what is he about to click on here? My video quality is super low. Stop going to auto every single time I look at it. Yeah. New script. Okay, new script. New script. I want to do at least a little something before I'm done with it. New behavior scripture.
New script, and we can give a name to our script. In our case, it's going to be something like player movement, but you can really choose anything you'd like. And we select the language. In our case, that's going to be C#. So create an add, and you can see that Unity adds a new component. And that's because scripts in Unity are pretty much just custom components that we get to tell what to do. It's also created a script file.
Calm down, dude. Calm down. I'm still trying to get one made. Oh, I always forget that you can't have special characters. Well, actually, no, spaces aren't special, are they? Oh, so spaces aren't allowed. Okay. Player move. And that's right here.
Down here in the project panel, and that means that we can add it to other objects as well. So if we now select our ground, we can drag our player movement onto that in order to make it affect the ground as well. But we don't want to do that, so let's just right click on it and hit remove component. So if we go back to our player and double click on our player movement script, it's going to open up in your script editor. If you're on Windows, that's either going to be Visual Studio, which is what I'm using, or Mono Develop, which is also what you're going to be using on Mac. It's really up to person.
Oh gosh, opens up in Code Writer, of course. Where is this stored actually? Oh, you're not gonna tell me where it's stored? Come on. Let's see. I actually want to try and use IntelliJ. I don't know if it has C#, but it's probably my favorite one, so.
Personal preference, and you're going to be able to follow along just fine with either. So this is what a script looks like just when we create it. There's a lot of scary stuff going on here. The thing about learning to program is that at first you're just going to have to ignore.
And you know, I've coded a bit of a fabric mod a couple of times, so that's not a lot of scary stuff. That's just like, okay. I mean, it's true, I don't know what the heck is going on here, but that's nothing. I wonder if there's a way to tell it what I want it to open it to. There's no like open with or anything. That is so annoying. Why isn't IntelliJ opening? Don't recognize this. Gosh. It's taking forever. Finally. I have to check, make sure I unmuted the microphone every now and then, because I'm paranoid as heck. Okay. That window won't close. How am I doing here? My port is for PC. Memory. I really need to get more. Weird thing is, it doesn't seem like anything's being written to it. I mean, writing, sure, but... yeah. I don't mean reading. Just the opposite of what I said. Ugh.
Ignore most of the stuff that's going on. To clean it up a little bit, we can go ahead and delete the two using tags up here. And really the only thing that you should focus on right now is these two functions where it says void start and void update, and these are created by Unity automatically. So let's have a look at the start function up here. The neat thing about the start function is that it will run when your game starts. That means that whatever code you put between this curly bracket and this curly bracket, so that means in here, is going to be executed when you start the game. Do note that in C#, it doesn't matter how many spaces you have. You can really space it out any way you want. You can even put it on separate lines as long as you don't split up a word like this. Let's just try and see if this is working by displaying a message to ourselves. To do that, we write debug.log and make sure to have capital letters the same places that I do, because C# is cap sensitive. Then we open up a parentheses and you can see that it automatically closes one as well. Then in quotation marks we get to write a message. In our case we'll just write something like hello world.
This doesn't have... oh... okay, I'm gonna try opening it in Visual Studio, just cause I don't want to have to fuss trying to import info right now.
Make sure you end this line with a semicolon.
Debug log. So that's not global text that he's doing there. That's just gonna show up probably on the console. Yes, please. See, now this is what shows that something is good. If it automatically detects what you're trying to do without being creepy about it, YouTube, and helps you, that is intelligent. I love it. But sometimes it's just creepy as heck. YouTube. Debug. Oh, it's saved to the thing. Oh, interesting. And it crashed. So it's actively editing the code without having to save it. That is interesting. Which reminds me, I need to save this project. It's still installing stuff. Okay. Debug.log brackets. Why do they... Hello. Setup's running correctly. Wee! Just look at the thing down here. Look down here. Wee! Do... Use the same... in the toots. Ah.
You're going to be doing that a lot whenever you write a command. You're going to end it with a semicolon.
Oh,
if we now save this by hitting Control S, you can see that it saves up here. Head back into Unity and hit play. Nothing is really going to happen in our game view. However, if we go ahead and look at the console here,
that's a semicolon. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it would be a console display. Because it says a debug, and generally that means it's a console thing. Yeah, it works. Ooh, I'm programming. Look at me, mommy.
you can see that it now says hello world. If you don't already have the console open, you can go window and then console. So the console here is used by us to debug our code. It allows us to write messages by using debug.log followed by our message. And it also displays warnings and errors about the code that we write. So we really have a love-hate relationship to the console. If something isn't working in your game, make sure to check the console and see if there's any errors or warnings. They might help you troubleshoot the problem. Alright, so writing hello world in the console is a bit boring. Let's have a look at what else we can do. Well, in fact, we can do pretty much anything in Unity. We can modify values, we can add forces to objects, we can add explosions, create game timers and menus. The possibilities are pretty much endless. And that's also kind of what makes programming scary, is that you have a lot of functionality available to you. But let's try and focus on a specific problem. So let's say that we want to go into our rigid body and disable gravity for that object. To do that, we need first of all to reference this rigid body component. And Unity makes that really easy. If we go into our script and go above our functions on this empty space here, create some new lines, and then
before public class. Okay. No, inside public class. All right. No, I'll do it line 8 here.
And write public. Then the name of a component, our component is called rigid body. Then the name
public wait, I messed something up, didn't I? End region, no. Yeah, okay, now it's fixed. Edge, nah.
name of the component that we want to modify, in our case, rigid body. And
okay, but have to install some more plugins. Body.
Now we need to give this reference a name that we'll use internally, so we can call it something like RB for rigid body. If we save that and hit back into Unity, we should
Call blur TLR. Close that with the quotations, didn't he?
body like C and RB for rigid.
No, semicolon. Is that actually registering though? Public. I guess. Let's see. Remove SE. Error, syntax error. Text is not a range. Function. That's not those. Oh. Hmm. Oh, there's two of them. Which one's which? How do I remove? There it is. So I'll just remove both of these. Oops, I don't want to copy it. Add a fresh one. I'll what the heck? Compiler issues. Looks fine to me. File, save.
What else we can do is we can add forces to objects and then focus with that. You make here, create some new lines, and then write public. Then the name of our component is called rigid body. Then
Uh, I wish he would have said what he's using. Try searching for Unity. Debugger for Unity. Okay. Let's grab that one. One second, I need to go let out the dog. Just seeing. Snippets. What are snippets? Oh, that's good. Unity code. Which one has more downloads? Hopefully that's enough that I can actually use it now. Red. Bit better. Snippets. I wonder if he has anything in the description. Nope. He's got a point there. Yeah, that's just gonna go on for what? How long have I been streaming now? An hour and 20. Eh. 300 skips. Compatibility issue. Close Visual Studio. Unity, got to edit. Preferences, external tools. External tools, make sure. Generate all. Open the C. Okay. So let's close this. Preferences, external tools. No, I told you to close. I didn't tell you to update freaking thing. Seeing it. It's over here. Preferences. Left part of window. Preferences, external. Don't see any preferences. Nope. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Unity edit preferences. Yeah. Oh, there it is, finally. External. External tools. Gosh. I have to make everything so complicated. Oh, it's not complicated. Never mind. Okay. Oh my gosh, she's back. 1 second. Do I trust the authors? Do I trust myself? Debatable. Gosh. I'm not importing stinking clips. Using Unreal Engine. Oh, I thought he's public rigid body. That's what I said. I didn't. want to do it. Some projects had trouble loading. Hey, what's wrong with Void? It's because I haven't put in a semicolon yet. Sure. Blur. Okay. Alright, now it's working. Good. I wonder if I just didn't spell it right. It's more than likely. Carefully design colors. This is about the same person, or not. Just use the same icon. I hate when people do that. Unity lock cat. Toolbox. I thought I clicked on this one. Just install all of them. Is it unlimited power? I don't know. I haven't watched that one in a long time. Now I just want to make sure I can actually import whatever. If it works, it works. Moving on. Put my headphones back on. We're gonna have to get off soon. Getting tired. Want to go play some more Metro.
The name of the component that we want to modify, in our case, rigid body. And now we need to give this reference a name that we'll use internally. So we can call it something like RB for rigid body. If we save that and hit back into Unity, we should now see an empty slot here with the name of RB. We can then take our rigid body and drag it into that slot. So now whenever we write RB in our script, it's going to refer to this particular rigid.
Ah, interesting. So, blur. But how? Oh, this one right here. Yeah, okay. Sweet.
Body. That means that if we go back into Visual Studio and instead of writing debug.log here, write something like rb.useGravity, we can set that equal.
Gosh. Cannot tell what's going on sometimes. One reference. Okay. There's that right next to it. equals
put to either true or false. In our case, we're going to set it to false and then of course end with a semicolon.
Yeah,
so save that, let's hit inner Unity, and let's see if this value isn't going to change when we hit play. So let's hit play, and indeed the used gravity changes to false. We can see that our cube here is hovering in the air, and if we were to duplicate him so that the
Okay, so apparently this dog I have in my lap now, she's been bugging everyone, trying to go to sleep, so I thought I'd try and hold her or something.
the two would collide, you can see just how cool of an effect that already gives us. But this is just
He went forwards ago and I was trying to figure out what they were yelling about.
in debug.log here write some or false. In our case, we're going to and let's see if this value and of course end with a semicolon. So save that, let's hit inner Unity, and let's see if this value isn't going to change when we hit play. So let's hit play, and indeed the used graph.
Okay. So... Here, you talk to the microphone. Talk to the microphone. Come on, right here. Right here. Very good. I'll say something. Sweepy doggo. You sweepy doggo. Yeah. Get underneath my desk. Good girl. Has it stopped yet or not? Lay down. Lay down. Go to sleep. Okay, now it's off. Since the variable has not been assigned. What? Hey, no. You stay here. Stay. There. Oh, I did it when I was running. I'm stupid. Alright, now it should work. Yay. It just disappears. Okay.
gravity changes to false. We can see that our cube here is hovering in the air, and if we were to duplicate him so that the two would collide, you can see just how cool of an effect that already gives us. But this is just editing.
I should try that out, actually. Let's do that. So like Control D or something? Is it Control D for duplicate? The dog says yes. Okay, that is pretty fun. No, come back here. Whee! Oh my gosh, she wants to go back outside again. It's very interesting that it has non-Newtonian laws of physics there. Or is that Einstein? No, there's Newton. There's an object in motion stays in
A
motion.
tiny little property. We can also make our rigid body do different things. If we quit playing, go back into
Oh gosh. Oh, I figured out the great mystery of the annoying dog. She wants to go outside and chew on her bone. I would bring it inside, but it's really hard to catch her, so yeah.
Visual Studio, we can actually add a force to that rigid body. So instead of writing rb.useGravity, let's write rb.addForce.
Let's see. Is that capital? Yeah. Oh. Add force. And let's see. I want to see where. I want to turn off the Java ones. Life force. This is bugging the heck out of me. I have recommended. It's not what I'm looking for. Best visual code plugins for Unity or something like that. I think it's VSD, right? VSC. See. Extensions. T 2020. Sure. Great, yes, code extensions for Unity. Oh. This is called code. It's code snippets. Hmm. Colonize. JSON document. Comment. Palettes. Oh my gosh. Code snippets. Okay. Just install all the snippets. Unicode snippets, snippets. Yeah, that's probably not enough. I should find more. Where's the function of getting started? Get rocking right now with this one extension. It sounds like one of those ads, if you know what I mean. Add force. What is he gonna say?
And again, we open a parentheses, close a parentheses, and then end with a semicolon. However, you can currently see that this is displaying red. And the reason why is that we need to specify a few things. These are called function arguments. The add force method wants to know how much force it should add in the different directions. So we could start with 0 on the x-axis. We could do something like 200 on the y and maybe 500 on the z. Notice how I separate each number with a comma. We can then hit save, go back into Unity, and when we now play, we should see a force being applied to this object. Awesome. So let's stop playing, head back into Visual Studio, and what we want to do is not only add a force in the beginning of the game, we want to add a constant
Okay. I keep forgetting to turn off the running. Seriously? Again? What is it this time? What did I forget? Void. I don't see an issue. Ordered body does not contain a condition for add force and no accessible extensions. Well, interactive or assembly reference. Not that I know of. I followed this thing. Brackets, add force, dot add force. Yeah. It looks right to me. Oh, I did spaces here. That might have done it. Nope. Start plur. That's being referenced by that. Okay. Why isn't it? Hmm. Oh, force is capitalized. And that's why I need those code snippets to work properly. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Now it's working.
Force in order to move our object forward. To do that, we can't use the start method. Remember, this is only called once right when we start the game. However, our update function is called once per frame. That means that whenever the computer draws a new image, and it does this multiple times a second, this function is going to run. So let's again put this on a new line to make things a bit easier to see. And we can then write rb.addForce, just like we did up here. We can input 0 on the x, 0 on the y, and let's try 200 on the z. Again, remember to close it with a semicolon.
Uh, Okay, now I'm muted. Okay, so yeah, dude said we're gonna try doing it locked ways. Should mean that it gets scooted along pretty quick. It's just gone.
Let's also take our entire start function up here and remove it. So now we hit save, go back into Unity, hit play, and we should see our cube just launching into the distance. And indeed we do. However, even though our game currently runs just fine and we get no errors in the console, we do actually have an error in our code. If we stop playing, head back into Visual Studio, we can see that everything looks just fine. But there's one problem. And that is, if this method is called once per frame, and we add a fixed amount of force each frame, how much force we add over a second is actually going to totally depend on our frame rate. And that means if you have a really good computer that is drawing a bunch of frames a second, the cube is going to travel faster than on a slower computer that doesn't run as many frames per second. And the frame rate can even vary on the same computer. If a bunch of stuff is going on the screen, the computer usually slows down a bit in order to handle everything. Or if something is happening in the background, that might also change your frame rate. So in order to even out these differences, what we do is we multiply this value, the 200 here, with what is called time.delta time. This is a bit confusing.
Delta time, so that grabs the computer's current millisecond time. Time.delta time. Is that's inside of this function? Yeah. Okay. There you go, Pepper. Need pettings. Doggy needs pettings.
But basically what time.delta time is the amount of seconds since the computer drew the last frame. So if the update is running 10 times per second, this value...
Okay, 1 second. Capital T. Ugh. There's a delta. And, it's bugging the heck out of me not having my snippets working properly. Times capitalized delta isn't okay. Snippets. Sure. Just install everything. Oof. That theme is really bad. Oops. How do I change the theme? Oh my gosh, she's doing it again. The dog's doing it again. Alright, I need to stop the stream. Goodbye. Nobody's watching, whatever.